एष सुप्तेषु जागृति एष सुप्तेषु जागृति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्मिमाणः निर्मिमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यति कश्चन एतद्द्वैता 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 एतद्द्वैता.
Thank you, ICAI Thrissur team, for the motto song. So for the last 8 days, we are continuously hearing from the eminent faculties across the country on the various aspects, various subjects, on the current trends, future trends of the accounting profession, the digital scenarios. So we are very happy that today we are on the concluding session with the eminent people from our institute, our vice president of the institute, even though the vice president office has informed that, so he may be a little late for the program to join. So we will start the program. So this program was successful only because of the guidance of our lone SIRC member from Kerala and the SICASA chairman.
Vice President is there. Sir.
Hello.
Vice President is there.
Yes, sir. Sir, good afternoon, sir. So we have just started the program. So today is the last session of our NAVARATNA conference organized by the 9 branches across Kerala, and we have dealt with the various subjects on accounting, auditing, GST, technology, and today we are dealing with the future of the technology, blockchain, analytics. So this is only because of the tireless effort by the 9 branch committees and our lone SIRC member and the SICASA chairman from Kerala, CA Satish NP. So every day more than 400 to 500 members were attended the program. I think it was one of the successful program in the history of ICAI. In no other states, all the branches were coming together and doing the programs. So we are very happy that today for the valedictory session, our Honorable Vice President is joined for the program. So on behalf of the entire Managing Committee of Kottayam and the entire NAVARATNA team of Kerala, we are welcoming the Honorable Vice President to this program.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you.
And today with the SIRC chairman for the program. So this program is successful only because of the tireless effort by SIRC and the team members from South India. So we are very proud that the SIRC is making all the efforts to complete the program in a successful way. So the SIRC chairman, Chinnamastan Talakaya, is the man behind the success of this program. On behalf of the NAVARATNA conference team, we are welcoming our SIRC chairman to this program. Naresh Chandra Gelli sir is the man behind all our activities of the Kerala branches and the SIRC branches. So we are very happy that our Naresh Chandra Gelli sir is also present for this program. And we are with our own SICASA chairman Satish NP. So he is very kind enough to do in all the programs for the branches and arranging programs. And we have done more than 3 to 4 physical meetings and many online meetings to complete this NAVARATNA program. So on behalf of the 9 branches of Kerala, we are welcoming Satish sir for this program. And today we have with the expert on this blockchain technology, CA Anand Prakash Jangid. I think he is the final word in this technology era. So wherever there is a technology class, CA Anand Prakash Jangid is the man who is taking the classes. So we are welcoming CA Anand Prakash Jangid to this program. And also the 9 branch chairmans, including me, are present for this program. So from Thiruvananthapuram, Cheriyanji Samuel, Kollam Sabu CS, Alappuzha Martin, Ernakulam KV Jos, Thrissur Ajit Kaimal, Palakkad Anuja, Kozhikode Santosh Paisar, and Kannur chairman is also with us. So all the branch chairmans, we are welcoming you to this program. So to introduce the chief guest of the day, our own vice president, the man who is leading with the technology, the man who is having a great vision for our institute, Aniket Talati sir. To introduce this our vice president, I welcome our treasurer Shine Joseph. Or to Shine.
A man of refined thought process, quick understanding, and sharp vision. He has
Sir, just a
Yeah,
minute. Before that, all other council members has to talk. Vice President should be the last.
No, I would request Satishanji that you please give me the opportunity because I'm in the middle of a council meeting.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Shine, please go ahead.
a man of refined thought process, quick understanding, and sharp vision. He has been elected as Vice President of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for the term 2022-23. Respected for his strong organizational skill and deep insight in the affairs of provision, he has contributed to the cause of provision from various professional perspectives. Led the cause of provision through various committees of the branch and regional council of ICAI, and he has served as the chairman of Ahmedabad branch of ICAI for the year 2014-15 and as secretary WARC for the year 2017-18. He was the chairman of Financial Reporting Review Board, vice chairman of CSR committee, and convener of Digital Re-Engineering and Learning Directorate of ICAI. He is at the forefront of digital transformation with ICAI, and numerous digital initiatives launched under him and stand testimony to this effect. He has also been appointed as an advisor to the Board of International Federation of Accountants. A man of grassroots understanding of the matters and respected for his down-to-earth approach to the issues that
Shine, sir, not working.
Yeah, so I think thank you very much, Mr. Shine, for the introduction. I think the technology has ensured that the introduction is automatically shorter than what was printed. So my thanks to the to Zoom, to technology, and of course, when today's session is on blockchain, technology is bound to be right. So first of all, my congratulations and compliments to CA Babu Thomas ji, the chairman, who has been personally after me to be a part of this conference. And he in such a loving manner mentioned that all the branches of Kerala are going to be together. I couldn't say no to him, though I knew that it's going to be in the middle of the council meeting. But thankfully, we have just taken a break for lunch, and therefore I got this opportunity to address all of you. To the guest of honor, my very dear friend, I think somebody who's been doing fantastic work in the southern region. In fact, all other chairmen are feeling that I have special liking for Chinna Mastanji, but let me tell you, it is because of the sheer hard work that he's putting in the region, and also whenever we have come to the south, the excellent arrangements he has been able to do. So, Chinnaji, it's always a pleasure to be with you, and may you continue doing this wonderful work for the rest of your tenure. My best wishes to you and your entire SIRC team. I could see Naresh Gelliji also online. To the past chairman, and again, a dear friend of mine, DC Jainji, who I could see there, KV Jose and everybody else who's there online. I'm not able to see you, but I could spot you at the beginning. A very good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me in your midst today afternoon. I think it's a fantastic topic, very well christened in terms of the name, NAVARATNA. 9 branches, 9 topics, and of course, after Navaratna that has just ended, I think the name could not have been better, and you've tried to select the right kind of topics. Today, my dear friend Anand Jangid is going to speak on the blockchain and what impact it will have on the profession. Extremely glad to see all the topics that you have chosen over these 9 days. I would also, at this point, like to mention that in the recent council meeting that we are doing, which was yesterday and also continuing today, some very important and historic decisions this council has been able to take. I'm happy to share with you that the CRET has been approved by the council and now will go to the central government for its final vetting and approval to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the Law Ministry. And we hope to see the final CRET very soon gazetted and issued. And the target is to make it applicable next year. So the council deliberated this entire CRET in this the council meeting and has chosen to approve it with, of course, certain changes, tweaks that were thought necessary. Also, very importantly, message for all my branch chairmen. I know whenever I come to the south, and maybe you also travel, Chinnamastanji or others in other branches, all branch employees always ask about the branch employee scheme. Very happy to state that that has also been in this council meeting given in principle approval by the council, and we have set a target date of 1st of January 2023 by which this will be implemented. So a lot of the branch employees who have given so many years, there will now be a HR scheme available for all of them, and I am sure it will augur well for all the branches. As was mentioned in my introduction, I come from a branch. I was chairman of Ahmedabad branch in the year 2014. So I also have a lot of love and regard for the branches. And in fact, the Honorable President, Dr. Debashish Mitra, always says that the ICAI, in fact, resides in its branches. And I think today we have both the President and Vice President from branches, and we have tried, along with the support of the entire council, to get the branch employee scheme approved in this council meeting. I will only say that, yes, a very important session today on blockchain. I could see the topics that you have set forth in the previous sessions that were there, which were hosted by different branches, and all the topics, it may be FEMA, it may be peer review, NRI taxation, GST, penalties and prosecution. I think you've tried to cover the 360-degree ambit of the accounting profession. And the best part is that you have kept technology at the end. I think it is not last, but it is the future. And as you go from past to the future, in the similar manner, you've gone from the traditional areas of income tax and GST, and now we will be discussing about blockchain. I think the future in this profession, having interacted with so many international accounting regulators, so many PAOs worldwide, having attended IFAC meetings, I can tell you that technology is going to be all pervasive. When we were discussing, in fact, the theme for the World Congress, which is going to be held here in Mumbai, where I'm addressing you from 18th November to the 21st of November, we were thinking, should technology be a part of the theme? And the unanimous view of IFAC and ICAI was that technology cannot be a theme because technology is all pervasive. You talk about income tax today, it may be return filing, faceless assessments, or any part of income tax, it is through technology. GST is through the GSTN is using technology. Audit, which is now going to have audit tools, AI being used and ML being applied, is also based on technology. And therefore, the theme of the conference does not have the word technology, because technology today, friends, as you will all agree, is all pervasive. And we need to realize that and pay special attention to it. My request to all the branch chairmen will be, try and do as much training on these topics of technology as you can for the young members. It is these newer members who need handholding and need to be shown the newer areas of practice. I'm confident that all the 9 branch chairmen will take this up in the right earnest. And in the month of December, multiple programs will be organized in technology. And it will be my pleasure to come back again in Kerala if any one of the branches is hosting some programs on technology and be a witness to that event. But for today, let me once again compliment and congratulate all the 9 branches who have gotten together today and decided to have these 9 days of learning, which conclude today. My best wishes to all the branches, and look forward to seeing a lot of you in the World Congress of Accountants here in Mumbai try and make it physically. We have only a few seats now left. If you're not able to register physically, try and be there virtually, so that when we talk about the future of the profession, when we talk about building trust and enabling sustainability, and today when we have signed an MOU with SEBI to set up the social stock exchanges and make our chartered accountants not just experts in tax, accounts and audit, but also in social audit, I think it will be very important for you to learn about these newer areas when you come to the World Congress. I look forward to meeting one and all, either physically or personally in this World Congress. My best wishes to all the participants. Compliments and congratulations once again to SIRC team led by Chinna Mastanji and all the branches who have organized this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, our Honorable Vice President, for taking your precious time to attend this conference. On behalf of the entire team of Kerala, we are expressing our gratitude from the bottom of our heart. Now I invite our own SIRC member and SICASA chairman, Satishan P. Sir, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Chairman Sabu sir, and our beloved SIRC Secretary Naresh Gelli sir, Chairman Chinnamastan sir, and a very closing remark done by our most beloved Anand Talati sir, Vice President. Sir, today we are closing our 9th NAVARATNA program. Actually, we called it as a feast every day with a different type of dishes. Today we have the last day with a paisam. We called paisam or palada. Today, with your words, we are so much happy that we got that Navaratna is covered with a very good feast. So I thank you, sir, for your on busy schedule with spend some time with us, all Kerala branches and all chairman and South India as a whole. Thank you for participating in the Navaratna conference valedictory function. And other 9 jewels of Navaratna, 8 branch chairman and Anuja, only one diamond in the Navaratna, and our past regional council member Jaman K. George, other managing committee members of each branch, and today's faculty, the blockchain and the technology, how to make the future of the chartered accountancy profession or the students, Anand sir, and other other seniors of the profession and colleagues. Very good evening to all of you, and I'm happy that a 9 days program went well, and most of the days there are more than 400 participants are there. As our vice president informed, all the programs we selected, all the topics selected as very important to our profession, and today we are ending with the future of technology. So I am very happy that Navaratna is going to conclude today with a good remark, and very proud that I am become a part of that Navaratna program, and I wish all the success for the future endeavors. And other Kottayam managing committee members, Shain, Ramya, and Srijit, all other hard work, with their hard work, and Prime Sebastian Anthony also, sir, with their hard work, the today's program went well. Going to not went well, going on process. So I am happy that next time we can make it, may be in physical form or continue with the online program with the Navaratna. And I wish all success to all the branch chairman, all the managing committee, and all my friends in future endeavors. Thank you.
Sabu sir mute aane.
Thank you, Satishan sir, for the valuable words. Now I welcome the SIRC Secretary Naresh Chandra Kelly for your words.
Thank you, Thomas ji. The 8 chairmen of Kerala branches and also the chairperson. Good afternoon to each one of you. I also see the former chairman of SIRC, Joman K. George, and all the members present here. Good afternoon for this afternoon, and I'm very happy to be part of this 9-day NAVARATNA program being held for the 3rd time for every consecutive year. So in fact, I just got to know that during COVID, this program has started and it is continuing very successfully. And I'm very happy to learn that so many members are participating on a daily basis and learning these various subjects. And as the Vice President has rightly mentioned, the various topics that are covered is almost 360 degrees of professional activity. And I'm very happy that all the 9 branches have been very active in organizing this event and very cooperatively worked out. As C.H. Sabu Thomas rightly mentioned, this is the only place, only branches in Kerala branches are doing this Navaratna program. Other states are not yet started. I'm sure seeing this so successfully, other state branches also may plan to do. Maybe in Telangana, we have 3 branches. In Andhra, we have 12 branches. Tamil Nadu also similarly 10 plus, and Karnataka also 10 plus. So probably seeing this success, I'm sure the other branches would interact with Satishan sir and take his advice how to go about in conducting the events. The topics have been very good, and the speaker also been very seasoned speakers have been identified. And today's session, I'm sure Anand Jangid would be able to take you forward and explain the nuances of this blockchain. As the Vice President rightly mentioned, probably there should be a lot of training sessions for senior as well as young members in terms of technology. So I definitely wish each of the branch chairman, chairperson, and C.S. Satishan sir for future success in conducting and educating all our members about various nuances of technology. I wish each one of you a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naresh Chandragali sir, for the valuable words. I forgot to introduce, welcome our past SIRC chairman, Sri Joman K. George. Joman sir, hearty welcome. And I forgot to mention the name of Kannur branch chairman, Shivaprasad sir, and Kottayam branch vice chairman, Prem Subhasana Antony, secretary Balaji K, treasurer Shine Joseph, SICASA chairman Srijit, and our committee member Remya. So when we went for the SIRC branch managing committee meeting at Hyderabad, we got an excellent reception at Hyderabad. This is only because we believe that it's only because of the SIRC chairman Chinnamastan Talakaila sir. So we welcome you to this program, and we are like to hear your valuable words on this final day of this Navaratna conference.
Thank you. Respected, energetic and young Vice President of ICAI, CA Aniket Sunit Talatiji, my council colleagues, and the special guest of this program, and Secretary of SIRC Naresh Chandragali, and the conference chairman and executive members of the 9 branches of Kerala State, CA P. Satishan, and CA Sabu Thomas, chairman of Kottayam branch, and the Ernakulam branch chairman Jose, and their counterparts in other branches of SIRC in the Kerala State, and their enthusiastic team of members of management committee and office bearers, and first chairman and the first chairman of SIRC, my friend Joman K. George, and resource persons of this today's program, and my friend CA Anand, Prakash, Jangid, and the various past office bearers of the 9 branches and my other colleagues. Very good afternoon to all. I'm very happy and pleased to join with our beloved Vice President CA Aniket Sunitalaji and with others this afternoon at this virtual CP conference hosted by the Kottayam branch of SIRC as a part of the concluding the program of the 9 days NAVARATNA. This virtual CP conference organized jointly by all the branches in the state of the Kerala. It was a part of this inaugural program Navaratna conference on 10th October when it was hosted by Thrissur branch. I'm feeling elated when I again invited by the organizers to this valedictory part of the conference. The occasion is also very special for me, for the organizers, as the afternoon session is graced by the inspiral leaders of our institute, Vice President CA Sunitalaji. Dear members, our Vice President belongs to the third generation of the chartered accountants who have contributed and continue to be contributing to the development of our profession in different capacity in the helm of the affairs. As his address has mentioned, he came from the branch and the region. But I want to tell beyond that, his grandfather CA H.M. Talati was the Central Council member of ICA between the 64 and the 73. His father CA Sunil H. Talati was the Central Council member of ICA between 2001 and 2007 and was the president of ICA in 2007 and 2008. Our chief guest and vice president of ICA Sunil Talati elected to this council for the term 2019-22 and 22-25. He becomes our president for the 23-24. During his presidency, the ICA will be entering into the 75 years of its formation from 1st July 2023 onwards. Members, as a chairman of SIRC, I join with the organizers and other members to express my sincere and the grateful thanks to our Vice President for being part of this virtual conference this afternoon and given these council updates, especially on the CRET and the new syllabus and that new areas of the practice. It's very that's encouraged to the practicing members. The 9-day festival of Navaratri was celebrated across the nation in different forms between the 26th September and 5th October 22, with the concluding by the day dedicating to learning. The celebration of learning continues in the form of the CPE for us as a professionals on all days in a year. It is also interesting to note that this is the 9 days program is hosted by all the 9 branches of SIRC in the state of Kerala during this course of 9 days. In fact, one of the state, as secretary has mentioned, has inquired about this 9 days programs. A few of the branches states having 12 branches, they want to conduct the similar programs. They has inquired about this, how we conduct different topics, how to get the registration, how to apply for CP, how to share that the seminar fees, all this. I discussed today morning with my best friend, Joman K. Judge, also on this. So this is the all 9 branches is the benchmark branches and role model branches for this, not only for our Kerala state, it is for all the southern state. Definitely next year we will see that similar model for the other state also. Members, I commend as the chairman of the Kottayam branch CA, Shibu Thomas and his team for having the institute session on blockchain technology, a subject that present and future generation of the accounting and technical professional have to master on this area. I really appreciate having these sessions. As the vice president said, this is the area, technology area. It's required more programs on each branch, especially for the practicing members. I also record my appreciation to the chairman of all other 8 branches and their excellent team who have delightfully taken forward and individually hosted these 9 days programs. I am confident that the 9 branches would continue the legacy in future also. The guidance and coordination by my colleague CAP Satishan has played a significant part in the successful conduct of this 9 days program. I record my appreciation to him and his contested follow-up to connect 9 branches in the systematic way that had resulted in the phenomenal success of 9 days programs. Before I resume my conclusion, I request to all of you 2 announcements that I to take this opportunity again to extend it on behalf of the members of SIRC, on behalf of the host branch of Hyderabad, and also as the chairman of the SIRC, I extended warm invitation to all the members and my colleagues to register for the 54th Regional Conference at Hyderabad on 9th and 10th December this year. Please register as maximum as and share the information to our professional colleagues. Secondly, members, as the Vice President said, the World Congress Accountants, the conference at Mumbai between the 18th and 20th November this year. I request you, all of you, let register for this also. And in this conference, almost 10 international bodies are taking part as one of the organizers. Let register for this program, take a best and large number in the first event, as we can say that Olympics of Accountants being held first time in India. Members, with this, I'm so happy to join in the conclusion of this 9 days program also. Thank you very much. My best wishes to all of you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Chairman. One more announcement. 21st and 22nd, we are going to have the sub-regional conference at Trivandrum. So I request all of you to participate in the program. And the chairman and secretary is also joining the program. So I welcome all of you for the sub-regional conference.
Thank you, SIRC Chairman Chinnamasta Tilakaya, for the valuable words on the final ceremony of this NAVARATNA conference. So the reputation of the institute we are enjoying today is because of the hard work made by the past leaders. So the 3-tier system, the central council, regional council, and the branches are playing a lot for this commitment. So in Kerala, we cannot ignore the leaders who made this institute or the members proud to be a chartered accountant. So CA Babu Abraham Kalivelil, the past Central Council member, and the past SIRC chairman, CA Jomon K. George, are the favored names of any chartered accountant in Kerala. So I invite past SIRC chairman, Jomon K. George, for his delivery.
Thank you, C.S. Abu Thomas, for the nice words and for the opportunity to address this valedictory last day meeting of NAVARATNA. I would be brief because we have a budget of time. The technical session, as everyone is waiting for that. My sincere compliments to all the 9 branch chairmen, which I had mentioned earlier in one of the sessions which I could address, and also to C.S. Satishan for the wonderful job that has been done. Also the managing committee members for these 9 days of excellent feast of knowledge, wide range of knowledge, which we have provided to 200, 250 members every day in all these 9 days. Today also we have a very good number, counting and still counting. And a big thank you to the Vice President for his very, very inspiring and futuristic, I would say, that given an indication of what is there in the future as it takes charge. So a big thank you to Aniket Talajiji and to my dear friends, Chinnamasan, who is the chairman of the region, and also to Secretary Nareshji for your presence on this last day. So please continue with the technical session. Extremely happy. And also thanking all the speakers. And Anand Jangid is very close to all of us. Everyone says that my dear friend. So he has been there as an evangelist on technology and how we should look into the future. So all the very best. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jovan, sir, for the valuable words on this conference. So our president and vice president are always envisaging on the technology, the moment of technology in the field of auditing profession or the accounting profession. So last time also our president was emphasizing that the members of the institute should think beyond taxation, auditing, or GST, or any normal practice area. So the future of the profession is also in coincidence with the technology updation. So a lot of new technologies are coming. The blockchain analytics is there. The new RBI is coming with the new type of currencies. So everywhere we cannot go away from the technology initiation. So today we have Anand Prakash Jangid, the person who is well versed in the technology field, to introduce our faculty for today's session. I request our managing committee member, CA Remya N. Over to Remya.
Good afternoon to all the respected dignitaries and the elite minds assembled here. I consider it my privilege to introduce the speaker for the day, CA Anand Prakash Jangid. CA Anand is professionally a chartered accountant and certified information systems auditor. He is managing partner at AJA, an organization with focus on cutting-edge technologies. Our faculty for the day is highly experienced in areas of risk management, investigation, compliance audits, and so on. His domain's expertise clearly makes him future-ready professional. He has worked at Messrs. Goldman Sachs, ES Consulting Group at Infosys Technologies. He is a visiting faculty at IIM Bangalore, ISACA, ICAI, and various other institutes. He is also a passionate speaker who presents papers of professional interest. His accomplishments do speak for themselves. So, presenting to you, CA Anand Prakash Jangid. The forum is yours, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. I was told by Sabu sir on this topic, and I was actually thinking that many a time, I think Kerala is, my second home, and I've been, I've traveled a lot. So I just thought I should be speaking something different, because that's the area which, I don't want to repeat my presentations, which I have been doing it up. So Sabu sir actually was nice enough to give us this platform, and I just thought, what are the areas we can actually focus on? So as our Vice President, sir, Aniket ji has also said, and he has been actually an evangelist in our organization. He's been talking about a lot of things, and I have actually had multiple discussions with him. And it's great that, we are focusing on this part, because there are two reasons what I think, we should be understanding out here. So I'm just sharing my screen, and this is a little different mode. I know we had, the COVID pandemic. So for some time, we were actually having everything online. Then it was like a kind of a overload of online sessions and all things. So, I am actually a faculty at IIM Bangalore also. And there in IIM Bangalore, they actually, except for two programs, they said, now we are going to have everything offline. And now I'm actually going back to the online. So it's a very interesting feeling, guys. Having said that, I would request one very simple request I have with you, that I'm using a dual monitor. So I can actually see your chats. I would really want you guys to give your comments and everything, so that I know what you are thinking and your thought processes can be clearly known by me. Otherwise, it will be a monologue, and I don't want a monologue today. We have a very, thanks to Institute, I actually, for the first time, I got around a time of 1.5 to 2 hours today. Yes, so Balaji, I am seeing all the things, all the messages which are coming. So I'll be seeing on the other screen, and I'll be presenting it up. So feel free to bring it up, so that I know you guys are, understanding what I'm trying to say. Today's presentation, I have actually intentionally changed it up for an online audience. So which basically means I will be talking about a topic which, let's try to understand from the fundamentals of demystifying blockchain. And I will also talk about one very important thing, which usually I don't talk about in this one. The use cases. Usually, in my presentation, I just talk about this is blockchain. We should know that. But I thought today I have some time. I really want to discuss some use cases, because see, you need to understand, guys, as chartered accountant, we are the custodian of ledgers. You agree to that, right? from the time we are born, as born when we say we become a CA, we have been playing with ledgers. And this is a kind of a concept of we call it distributed ledger technology. So what are the kind of things we should know that we have to understand? And thanks to Balakrishna sir, he also said the entire tech of BC, blockchain is disrupting the might and challenge CAs also. Yes, there are some question which is being raised that how would auditing happen? There was a very interesting paper which was recently published by IBM, and when I read the paper, I was not very happy because they had actually given a scenario which was very interesting, and I'll share that scenario with you of how auditing is going to change under blockchain technologies. And that's something which was already started. If you're not aware of that, just read out the newspaper today. Economics Time, you would have seen the news that Infosys Finacle has got an award for using a blockchain for interbank reconciliation. And if anyone is aware of that, it has actually changed. There are now 21 plus banks which are there on that. So this is actually changing a lot of things which we used to take it for granted. So before I start, as a check-in statement, I want to understand one question from our audience here. We have a pretty a large number of audience, and I can see that we have more than 230 plus people who are there right now. I have a question, friends, which I just wanted to know. How many of you have a basic understanding of blockchain? What do you, like anyone has, you can just say yes, no, whatever is that. Let's quickly, very fast, you can just do it. It's a kind of a warm-up exercise maybe, so that I know you are near your keyboards and all things. So if you say no views, like from, I have to start from basic fundamentals, I start from basic. If you say yes, most of the people no, then I can do that. Okay, so not much. Most of the people say it's not much. Okay, I just wanted to chat, guys. I think I will not be able to unmute any one of you because I don't have that access. Only if you can just put in the chat, I will be just seeing that here on the screen. So not much, right? Okay, not much. Okay. Great. So good. That's one of the kind of thing which we. So let me start from the some concept. So as science also said that not much. One of the things we need to understand the concept. The first thing I would say we should understand is blockchain is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin as is a cryptocurrency, and blockchain is an underlying technology which is out there. Now, when we say digital signature, all of us as chartered accountant, we use digital signature. Is digital signature all of same type? Maybe there are, some of them in India, we have one type of digital signature. There are classes out there, class A, class B, different types of digital signatures. Now, similarly, blockchain, you need to understand that it is a technology. It's a kind of thought process. And I would say all of you should be very proud of yourself if anyone talks about blockchain, because I'll tell you, I keep coming to Trivandrum because of Kerala Blockchain Academy. It is actually headquartered in, Trivandrum. And Kerala Blockchain Academy is, you can say in India, one of the torch bearer in blockchain technologies. Professor Arshad is there, and they have been doing some amazing, amazing stuff. So if you see in India, blockchain, if we think of what are the kind of developments and other things which are happening in that, Kerala has a very important role to play in that. And they are known to be one of the best institution which is evangeling. And there are some very interesting, conferences which happens. Last time it was in Ernakulam on blockchain tech, which was hosted by Kerala Blockchain Academy. And it's very interesting. So it's more of a triple IT, which is being doing on all that. Now, having said that, let's try to start from the start. Okay. So I'm again, I got a kind of feedback. We will start from scratch. I hope we are all okay with that. That's the way we can do that. I hope all of you remember this ledgers, right? Can I have a show of hand? How many of you are, have been a CA for more than, I can say you have become CA before year 2010. How many of you are like a chartered accountant before 2010? Okay, I see 6, 10. Okay. Testing. Okay, a good number. Okay. Nice. Thank you. Good. Okay, so Ray Thomas sir and Joni sir, all of them have been putting their messages. Great. So let me just give you that. Is sound not clear? Someone has messaged me that the sound is not clear. I hope I'm audible to everyone, guys. Just let me know if any problem happens at any point of. I hope I'm clear, right? Cool. So I'm lowering all the head. Thank you. Thanks, sir. So I am sure all our friends who have actually seen this kind of ledger, we had a manual ledger which used to be there. I want to talk about only few things in this ledger. Okay. And that point which I want to talk about, friends, is like this. When we say about ledger, this used to be where entry used to be there. But did you notice this very interesting thing? This item used to be called brought forward. And this was called as carry forward. Remember these things? Yeah. And then this carry forward will become a brought forward in the next page. Right? You can see on your screen. And we used to all, I remember also during my articleship time. Okay, no, Murli sir, you can put it in the Q&A. In the question, you can put the question. Please put that. I will see the question. I know there are some issues which is there. It's fine. We have to overcome that. Okay. Okay. So now the interesting point starts here. What is the interesting point, guys? Here. Interesting point is this used to be a manual ledger for a very long time. From the time Lucas Piccoli, who talked about a double entry system of bookkeeping, it's all in 1600 onwards. We have been talking about double entry system of bookkeeping. Now we have come a long way in this. Now the question arises, don't you think it is time to reimagine the ledger? I'm using the word reimagine because of late, a lot of things has changed. And you will not go, like, let me ask you one question. Are you ready to go back to the old Nokia 1100 phones for all your communication? It's not going to make sense also. You can't use WhatsApp, you can't use any of the tools which were you doing it up. Now, technology has moved a long way. Now, in that scenario, don't you think it's time for us to reimagine the ledger? And as finance is always the custodian of that, when we talk about reimagine the ledger, what we are talking about is, as a managers of ledgers, the ledger which we talk about here has got upgraded, automated, and very exciting. Okay. Now, why I say this thing that it has become very exciting? The reason is there have been a fundamental shift in technology. Now, when I use the word fundamental shift, you need to appreciate this point. How many of you remember, or I hope, just if I can have a show of hand in our, people, I'm just lowering all of that thing. How many of you have used a pager? I'm using the word use the pager, not seen a pager, used a pager. Out of the attending, okay, some of you have used a pager. If anyone who don't know what is pager, you should watch Pushpa, you will understand what pager is. There used to be a kind of equipment which we used to show off when long ago. I'm talking about the year 2000, 2001. That was a kind of a piece of technology which was very much in use. Yes, not used. Okay, science, sir. No problem, but it was there, right? You know that. Now, if you have seen that pager, I in fact still have one of that pager which was there because I purchased it from my, one of my first salary. And then today it is of no use because immediately after that, one new technology came and that disrupted everything what I was doing. That new technology was called, for everyone's benefit, we used to call it SMS, okay? Short messaging services. And the moment this technology came, there was no use of having a pager because pager was only to receive messages which someone can, tell one number and say this number, please send this message, they will send the message. Now, when this happened, this was the kind of thing which changed everything. Now, similarly, the ledger which we have been using all our life has just got upgraded, automated, and very exciting. when I use the word exciting, I'm actually excited about this because of two reasons. Some of my friends who are in the blockchain arena, one gentleman, he's there, he has the blockchain at Tech Mahindra. He was telling me blockchain is become like a aloe vera. You have seen aloe vera. That's one of the things which we use on our face also. We eat it also. It is for multiple users. You can actually use aloe vera. Now, similar thing is happening with blockchain also, because it's actually growing like anything. And it has actually created a kind of, I would use the word, design process in itself, which makes it very, very interesting for us to understand. Now, why we should take all these things into account, there is a reason for that. Now, before I tell you the reason, I want to tell you about something very interesting, the problem statement. See, any solution which has to come, it has to come for some kind of problem statement. Now, blockchain, when it came, it was trying to solve kind of problem statement which we have not even thought. Now, because of that purpose, what has happened is this has in itself become a very interesting piece of I would say piece of technology, which can be used for multiple purpose and multiple way, and being a kind of interesting setup. It also changes the different dimension of finance and different financial services in terms of how we use it. Okay, so to take you forward on this one, I want to explain you one area, and that is something which will help you to understand better. So the area is, I want to talk about some of the problem statement which are there. And I would like you guys to participate on that with your questions on this areas. Okay. Just for your understanding, I have given around 4 or 5 main problem statement which is there. Let me start with the first one. The problem of intermediaries. In any place we see today, there is a challenge of intermediaries. I'll explain you what is intermediaries. We have a system which is called centralized system of doing things. If I want to transfer money from India to any other part or from other part of world to India, I need to have access to the banking services. Now, banking services are one centralized setup. You go to them, you give them the money, they will transfer the money. But are they efficient? Not really. Are they changing with the time? Not again. I'll give you one example. Okay. It's actually one of my favorite example also, because I had a lot of problem with this. This point, let me explain to you. First point. I tried to transfer amount sometime back from one of my bank account in US to my Indian bank. So, I wanted to transfer something around $3,000 from my US PNC bank account to my ICICI bank account in India. Now, you may think that this is a very, straightforward work. PNC Bank is a bank which is a kind of a county bank, not a very big bank. It's a regional bank out there. Now, I don't know how many of you heard about a gentleman called Rube Goldberg. I'm just putting it up in the chat if you can read the chat. Rube Goldberg is a guy, who was very famous. If you Google this guy up, Rube Goldberg, you will know that he was a cartoonist. And why he was famous, guys, that is also very interesting. This guy was famous because he used to make very interesting cartoons for doing a thing in the most complex manner. I'll just show you. This is a Rube Goldberg video. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube. You'll find it out. But let me show this Rube Goldberg video. Just 1 second.
tô gitana. Que pau, que pau, que pau.
Guys, this is actually what I want to show you. That is called the Rube Goldberg machine. What they are trying to do there, they are trying to make a page turner. They want to just turn the page of the paper. For turning the page of the paper, did you see that how much complexity they have tried to build it up there? Now, banking system today, to be, I'm sorry, but if any bankers out here, but to some extent, they are doing. How many of you heard about a term in international trade called correspondence banking? Correspondence banking is, for the money which I transferred, $3,000, it actually took me 4 working days plus a kind of charge of 3.25%. Why? Because it is not just I'm paying to one bank. No. There is a concept of correspondence banking, which basically means my PNC bank doesn't talk to ICICI Bank directly. So PNC Bank will talk to someone who talks to both of them. So they will go and talk to, let's say, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo says, yes, I also don't talk to ICICI Bank directly, but I talk to State Bank of India, or US. The State Bank of India says, yes, I don't talk to ICICI Bank directly, but I talk to State Bank of India. And State Bank of India will say, yes, I talk to ICICI Bank. Now, are you seeing how many intermediaries are there? Now, if they are giving me service, they will charge me a bomb. And that is exactly what is happening. Now, in some way, why this is happening is, it is happening because the service what we are asking from the banks, they have not reinvented themselves. They are centralized. I have to depend on them, right? Now, this is a challenge. If anything which is centralized, it can be hacked. It can have issues which we can't even think of. We can have a problem where, that cyber attacks or fraud can happen on that. And they actually charge you for their task. You can see this. Here we see they will do authentication, they will do their identification, clearing, settling. The time between that is going to be an inefficiency. We are building it up intentionally. You don't need to do that. Today you have UPI, you can just transfer it anytime. Why can't they use this technology out there? They can if they want to, but they don't want to because inefficiency is paying for that. And you can see, and I'm with all due respect to the banking, don't you think it took a lot of time for government of India and come and push for Jan Dhan Yojana because a lot of people in India were not banked. They didn't have access to the banking service. Now, this is basically means because they don't have access to the banking service, they were not actually using the whole environment which has been created out there. Now, this is one of the challenges, not having access. Second option is, what are the charges which are being put by the organization? They make it very expensive. That's the reason Government of India says Jan Dhan is zero balance. Or you think of intermediaries like today. I'll give you 2 more examples just to explain you the concept of centralization and decentralization. Think of credit card companies. For every credit card transaction, the merchant would be paying something around 2%. I don't have the latest data right now, but you'll be shocked to know that if you just combine the annual revenues of Visa and MasterCard, I'm not adding Amex and other Discover and all the things. Visa and MasterCard in 2018 was close to $92 billion. 92 billion is a huge amount. And they are just providing one, infrastructure. They have to learn something from what UPI did. UPI infrastructure is one-time pieces there. It's not like per transactions you can be charging it out there. So there is a high cost of onboarding. There's a high paperwork. And these are all happening because there are intermediaries. So people are saying, can we have a decentralized environment where you can actually not have these challenges, what we have it out of going to a centralized authority or someone out there? Now, that is the big question which people are asking, including the last one. Let's say, for example, can I monetize any information? See, on the internet, there is a problem. Usually we call it as there's a, in real life, there's a problem of scarcity. Imagine this hard disk is there. it has a value because there are not much hard disk out there. So there's a problem of scarcity. On the internet or the World Wide Web, do you have problem of scarcity? Not at all. You can just copy paste any of the things and you solve the scarcity problem, right? So imagine this PPT is there and I would like to monetize this PPT. So I say that everyone who gets a PPT should give me 0.1 rupees, which is like 1 paisa. Now you may think 1 paisa is a very small amount. Yes, it's a very small amount. But imagine if there are 1 million people who take my PPT and pay me 1 paisa. Now accounting for this will itself be a problem, right? 1 paisa, who will account for that? But can I have an automated system which can keep account of that? Can I have a system where every 1 unit of electricity which I'm producing or saving, there can be a cost associated with that? Now, these are the challenges which we are trying to solve using blockchain. On overall, there are other things which are coming. And as I told you at the beginning of my presentation, friends, we are trying to discuss this in a chartered accountant perspective. I can go on and on to multiple other perspectives from engineering, technical and all things. We do not want to talk about that. We are seeing this problem in a way of thinking that, okay, what are the problem statement which as a chartered accountant, which we can think of, we can solve out here. Here, these all challenges are really something which organizations are thinking about. It's not that the banks don't know that it will happen. I'll give you one example. One of my friends is part of an international depository participant. Depositories which are there, like CDC is there. All your stock, shares are stored with these companies in a demat form. Now, don't you think it is a one-time effort for them to set up the capital expenditure? After that, the cost is very less, but they will be still charging a bomb for keeping a depository for you and all that kind of. Now, in that kind of situation, this is another issue with, we call it centralization. So ultimately, all this main theme is when you have centralized. So people started thinking, what can we do to solve it? Now, this is where our accounting mind comes into picture and try to kick in and say, hey, you know what? Yes, this is a problem and there can be a solution. Now, before I go more depth into this one, you need to understand that why people associate blockchain with financial system. There is one very interesting article by Joe Ito and Neha Narula. You can actually find it out on the web. It was actually an article published in Harvard Business Review. It was something around 2018 or 17 article, if I'm not wrong, 18, I think. I exactly don't remember the date. But there was a very interesting statement which was done in that article, and I wanted to highlight that word. They said that blockchain will do to financial system what internet did to media. So this is an analogy, but you need to understand. Don't you think that a lot of things has changed in the time which we are seeing? Like there was a time when we used to have all this concept of what we call it as, if I have to use a very simple term, there was a time when, DTH and everything was the way out of dealing with that. Then suddenly what happened was we found one interesting thing that Mr. Mikesh Bhai did interesting thing of changing what we call it is the cost of our use of what we call it as internet. And what happened? All of us who were actually consuming this information, we started consuming this information through internet. Like for example, I'm not sure how many of you still have a DTH. I have got it disconnected long back because Amazon Prime and Geo TV and all things can give me whatever I want to consume as media because of internet. Now, it basically means the whole environment of having your DTH connections, this connection, that connection is moved, because it gives you kind of a flexibility to use however you want to take care of. Now, this is the reason why we need to understand this point of blockchain, because they are saying that no one knows how it will come into picture and it's going to work, but that idea of having blockchain change the way we look at the financial systems is always there, and all the experts are saying that financial systems are one which are going to be a highly disrupted. I'm using the word disrupted because disruption happens when you try to radically change any and everything what we're doing. And that is exactly what is happening out here. We are talking about radical redesign of the whole financial system. And it has already started, guys. You will see, we'll be sharing a lot of example and use cases where organizations have already started doing it. And it is only the matter of time before you will see it happening all across. Okay. So idea of blockchain, it didn't come just like popped up. You need to understand the timeline which is there. And before I show you the timeline, I have just opened a PDF. I'm not sure how I can share it up, but this is the paper which was published sometime this year in 2008, in October 2008. Okay. And this is an interesting paper. This was Bitcoin. This was the paper which was published by Satoshi Nakamoto. And actually, no one knows who this Satoshi Nakamoto is. And he published this very interesting paper on what is called as, why do we require, see the term here, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Okay, what is this peer-to-peer? Anyone knows this term peer-to-peer, guys? No one? Anyone? Okay. Okay. Peer-to-peer is a kind of a concept, we call it up, where you don't have a client-server architecture. Like if you are going to core banking systems, if you are using Tally, so you're using Tally, you have a client, which are all the people connect to, and there is a server. Okay. So as Vimal Venu sir has rightly said, end-to-end is a peer-to-peer is very similar to, as Vimal sir said, imagine if I have 20 machines in my office, and each machine act as a server also and act as a client also. So it's a peer, everyone is equal, actual democracy. Don't you think so? So I don't have to worry about that how it is being done and all that kind of thing. I don't have to worry on any of this. So this document is a base. It's a very interesting document. You should read it up, because there is a lot of conspiracy theory going on who first Satoshi Nakamoto is. And they are saying this paper was not made by one guy, but these are multiple people, because someone has shown a very good understanding of technology, very good understanding of, second point was economics. Third, very good understanding of how currencies are printed and other things. And you can see all this, it's a very interesting thing. How do you basically simplify the verification process and privacy, as well as, I just go directly down, a very interesting concept of hashing, which is how it is worked. Now this is a kind of 9 pages document which was done. Now here there was one word, you can use this thing, block. They were using this word block everywhere in this report. And they actually didn't use the word blockchain anymore. It was used at a later point of time, but they use a word there called ledger. No, it's not here. It is there in that other point. So they gave a kind of a point that, hey, you know what? I want to keep a track of all the records, what is happening, a record of a public transactions which is there, which I can actually use it up there. Now that public transaction record was the ledger which they were actually talking. So my point is that this got published which year, guys? October 2008. So this was the time when this interesting document was published. Now, when it got published, people said, okay, great, interesting thing. And these people actually registered this bitcoin.com, and they started doing some, you can think of, research and everything on doing it up. So they made the system work. And they also, did some small purchase. By May 2010, the first Bitcoin purchase was done of, 10,000 Bitcoin were used for a $25 pizza. Today, this pizza would be the costliest pizza in the history of mankind, right? If you take the today's price, I think it is $19,000 or something, not $20,000, like whatever is there. Multiply by 10,000 is the cost of the pizza. Okay, and that was the first use of doing that. 2014, LVH Bank, they actually tried to say that, okay, this is interesting. This research, we can do it, and we can actually use it. So if you have to, understand the point of view, this is very interesting, guys, because they just said that hey, this is cryptocurrency. It's a Bitcoin. No problem. We are not interested in that. But the underlying technology, which is being making the Bitcoin work, because Bitcoin is a decentralized end-to-end, cryptocurrency. There is no centralized authority who's keeping a track of that. They wanted to keep a complete record of who is doing what transaction, and they wanted to maintain a ledger records of that. That's why there isn't blocks and everything. So they said, "Alright, this is interesting. We are not very interested in Bitcoin, but the underlying technology in this, which is nothing but blockchain, is very interesting." So they started picking up that one. And in July 2014, Ethereum project was launched, which is like a open source Ethereum, a kind of a decentralized application. And it was funded by issuing a kind of another cryptocurrency called ETH. And from 2014, so you can see 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 6 years after the concept of Bitcoin came into picture, only after that, people first time looked into blockchain. So blockchain is not like something what we call it as a technology which is anonymous and all things. It is a sub technology or subset of cryptocurrency. How do I keep a track of all the money which is being used out there? It should not have a double spending. What do we mean by double spending problem is, I'll explain it to you. Imagine if I have 100 paper money, 100 rupees. I can only spend 100 rupees, right? I cannot 100, 200 rupees. But when it is on a computer, can I edit it? Can I change it? Anyone can do that. How do I make sure that 100 remains 100? I want a kind of a foolproof technology which cannot be tampered with, which cannot be updated by anyone just like that. And I ensure that it can be made use for keeping a complete record. Okay. So I know it's becoming little technical, guys. Feel free to interrupt me at any point of time on your Q&A. You can just write down your questions or any points. I know chat is disabled, no problem. You can put it on Q&A so that I can understand if you are getting any kind of point of that. We need to understand this background better to be able to appreciate what is going to come out with. Because use case and all the thing when we discuss, it will be easy to understand trends if we know about it. Okay. Now, let's go to the next one. Now, by 2015, there was an R3 consortium which came up for 40 institutions, and they committed a lot of money to that of implementing blockchain. And there is a, I don't know if you're aware of this, there is a very interesting technology which is not open source, but a lot of people use it even today. We call it r3.com. You can go to the site, and there is something called as Corda, CORDA. R3 is the organization which is there, and they have a lot of product. Especially Corda is the production level DLT platform which is there. So this people is actually funded by more than 40 organizations. So it's still one of the very interesting piece of technology which is being used. It will take some time, but a lot of banks are already using it. So that came in R3. And after, sorry, I think my bad. My screen was, this is R3, guys. This is r3.com. You can go and check it up. They had a product called Corda. It was a decentralized ledger, which they came out with that. And you can see that even HSBC and other organizations are using it for trade finance and other purpose. And this is a kind of a very interesting piece of digital ledger technology or distributed ledger technology, which is still adding a lot of value to the clients which are looking for. In September 2015 only, there was a kind of a very interesting thing which happened. That is, Visa, Citiware, and Nasdaq, all of this invested $30 million in a startup called Chain.com. They said, their point was, what we call it up, that this requirement which is there of Chain.com was, you need to come out. Visa and all these companies, they knew one very interesting thing. They know that there is no way they can compete with this new set of technology which is coming. So if you can't compete with them, what is the best way you can do this? Join them. So that's the reason they invested into Chain.com, that this is going to be a future. Let's try to get into that. And in September 2016, we had this 40 plus financial services who came and said they are investing into blockchain because they think this is a kind of interesting one. And by 2018, you had World Economic Forum coming and saying that, hey, you know what? This is actually becoming like a interesting point on this. Now, one very interesting thing I want to talk about before we go into the actual definitions of blockchain and understanding is what happened with Gartner. So I have a question. I hope many of you, know that there is a kind of a body which is called Gartner. They are the research cycle, hype cycle. Gartner is one of the organizations which comes up with a basically called hype cycle. It will take a technology and it will tell you that with how this technology is going to work and what is the future is that. Okay, Gartner has 2018 hype cycle. I'll just show you that one and you will understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. One second. You can actually check it up because all of you are online and you're doing it on your machines. Not a big deal. You can actually try it at your own. So I just try to put this screen on. So this is called Gartner. Gartner is a research body in technology, and they come out with a very interesting things. So they have every technology. I just open it in a new window so you can see that. I hope it is visible on your screen, friends. Let me just make the size. Please zoom it up. Okay. So this is prior to. I'm again using the word prior to our what we call it as lockdown or the things which happened. Now, can you see these are all the technology and they have 5 boxes of the technology where it is. So it's called hype cycle. They said every technology, it starts with something we call it as, and this is very important for anyone who wants to make a career in that. In fact, whenever we talk about new technologies, we go to Gartner hype cycle and see where they are on the hype cycle. Okay. So every technology will start with innovation trigger that, oh, this is a new innovation happening and this is something which is going to change the world. Then it will start from here. You can see that this is the cycle and it will reach the peak of, this is called the peak of inflated expectation. What does that mean of inflated, what we call it as expectation? Let me explain you, friends. It basically means that people think that this technology is going to change the whole world only. This is going to be a very interesting thing. Like in 2018, blockchain was somewhere here. You can see this. So they said, oh, this is at the height. It was like 2018, it was on the top of the hype cycle. Then the technology will go through, we call it thorough of disillusionment. Then people will say, no. Everything is not going to work with that. It will take some time. It will, like if you are promised 200 items, maybe 20 items, not 200. And then comes what we call it a slope of enlightenment. Okay. And finally, it is called plateau of productivity. So it's a very interesting thing. You should be seeing it. So 2018, blockchain was at the peak of inflated expectation that, oh my God, this is going to change everything. All this technology was there. Today, it's actually somewhere in 2022, it is somewhere out here, blockchain. So already because of the lockdown and all things, a lot of changes has happened, but still it is actually doing good. If you have to say it is doing. And this is what a lot of people have realized that, okay, this hype cycle is all across the thing. So I'm just trying to open one more of this one hype cycle. This is, how they are trying to put blockchain platforms have come here and blockchain wallets and everything is moving on to them. This is the, more or less a, new version of that. Let me just remove the hype cycle here. So blockchain and IoT, blockchain and interoperability, DeFi, decentralized finance, all of the things are coming out here. And this is how, the sub technologies with things. So now why I'm telling you about all these things, there is a reason for that. We need to understand how the world is perceiving this concept of blockchain technologies. Today, this 2018 was the peak, but after that, there has a lot of world has changed around us. And we have seen that the expectations has gone to a next level. So here is the timeline of how blockchain has evolved over a period. I hope I'm clear, guys. Any questions so far? Feel free to let me know. I know it's a monologue. You can just see me and all the thing, but let's try to make the best of the prevailing stuff. So any questions so far? Don't worry. I have been told by the by Sabu sir also to give you a break for 5-10 minutes at something around 4:50 that I'll give you. But before that, we go to, because I want to leave you with the fundamental definition, because fundamentals has to be clear so that we all understand it up. So any questions, pets? Before we already have answered 7 questions, but any other questions? Do let me know. Amazing. No questions means I'm very clear, or like it's all all clear. Either way, all clear has 2 meanings, so we all know what the meanings can be. Nevertheless, guys. So let's me take you to the oversimplified definition of blockchain. I'm using the word oversimplified. Why? Because it's not easy for me to give you such an easy definition. So I've tried to bring out, some of the way we can actually oversimplify it. So what it is, let's try to understand it. The first word, it says, blockchain is a distributed ledger. What do we mean by the term distributed ledger? Distributed ledger means, imagine a ledger which multiple participants has a copy of. When I say multiple participant, whoever is a part and parcel of this ledger will be having a copy of. So I have a question. How many of you have seen the ledger of blockchain? Anyone have seen the ledger of blockchain, guys, of Bitcoin? Have you seen the, like it's a public, basically we call this as a public blockchain, which means you, me, everyone has access to. Anyone has seen that one? No? Oh, then you should try it out. If you are in front of the machine right now, why don't you open this site? Let me just open a site in front of you on your thing. Write down blockchain.com. Modi sir, yes, I'll come to that question. Modi sir has a very interesting question. That banks are investing a lot in blockchain, but when will small and medium firms get affected to our daily work? You will see that happening already, sir. You will see that, and it's a very good question, Modi sir, because you will see that happening maybe maximum by 2025. You will see that our work getting affected, our daily work getting affected, because I'm telling you, a lot of people took it very lightly when Infosys announced this news of this one. Yeah, I'll be talking about the areas, Murli sir. Great, I'll be doing that. So I just want to show you one of the, blockchain of, when I say blockchain of Bitcoin. So, this is the, blockchain.com. You go, you can see these are the latest transactions which are happening. These are, the different types of, you can see anyone. It's a public blockchain, so anyone can see the blocks. So you see, this is the block which has been formed 759,360. I'll explain you later. But only thing I want to tell you what it is showing is right now I have access to all the transaction which has happened. So this gentleman has transferred some coins, how much 6.36 BTC to this wallet. Are you seeing this happening? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is I have a distributed ledger. Everyone who's a participant have access to that ledger. Yeah, Murli sir, I'll tell you the areas immediately. I'll be talking about the use cases. So I'll talk about this. It's a distributed ledger, which basically means everyone has an access to it. If it is a public blockchain, there are different types of blockchain. We'll see it later. Second, it can contain financial or non-financial transactions. Now, this is a very interesting term, guys. Financial transactions, we all know. But non-financial transaction, yes, it can have non-financial transactions also about what has happened and how it has happened. What are the key things to know about those things? It can actually also keep a track of. Now that becomes very interesting because till now we used to always have only financial transactions, but now even non-financial transaction which can be there in an organization can be taken care of. Second, it is replicated across number of systems in near real time over a peer-to-peer network. So a peer-to-peer network is something we call it as a place where anyone can actually come and see that, I have something which is happening, or someone wants to get an access to information on that. It's a peer-to-peer, as our Venu sir was telling, end-to-end. Multiple people are acting both as server as well as they are acting as what we call it as client also. So the idea here, which becomes very important, which all of us have to understand, is that in case of a peer-to-peer system, multiple systems are giving an equal view out there. I'll show you an example, also a demo of this one, so that you are able to understand it better. But for a time being, don't get tense that, oh, I'm not understanding it. I have still not gone in the actual demo to show you how it works and all things. Just pay attention for the time being. Okay. Third, every participant owns a copy of the ledger and gets updated when it's done. So everyone can actually have access to this ledger, and they can actually use it in terms of getting update on what are the different types of things which is there, how it is working, all of that things they can actually do. Now, there is a term which I want you to remember, intrinsic value. In accounting also we know this term, intrinsic value. Every information has some intrinsic value. And here we are talking about immutability of all existing records. So immutability here means who can change this data? And if anyone is changing this data, does he have a right to change the data? And is the intrinsic value being protected or not? So all these things we need to understand and appreciate when we are dealing with that. Each of these concept I'll explain it to you guys. So don't worry about that right now. Let me just finish and that's it. The fifth item, which all of us should know, is that it talks about a very interesting thing called using digital signature and cryptography. And it actually way of proving the identity, authenticity and what we call it as the read-write access. Who can read, who can write on the thing. All that things I need to look into. So those things also comes into picture as we discuss about. I hope you got my point. I'll explain you the point a little later, guys, on the technology which we are discussing here. But for the time being, you should just appreciate the fact that this is what is happening. Each of these items I'll explain you in detail, so don't worry about that. Okay. Okay. Now, next one is there is a mechanism to make it hard to change the, what we call it as any historical record. So let's say, for example, there is a historical record which has come into picture. It will be impossible for anyone to change the record once it is done. Now, this is what we call as the most important thing in terms of our concept of blockchain. Okay, so if you have to remember, I'm just repeating it once again for your benefit, guys. Here I'm talking about first thing, kind of database which contains what we call it as financial and non-financial information. Okay, that is first. Second, it is replicated across number of systems in a peer-to-peer system, right? Okay. Now this peer-to-peer system, I want to explain you with an example. Okay. How many of you have actually used? Just I want a show of hand, guys. I know it's chat is disabled. How many of you use an item called torrents? Anyone has used torrents? Only one person. Oh my God. I thought like everyone uses torrent. Okay. See, only Murli sir, Soni Chako sir, and Suraj sir. No one else. Or you don't want to tell us. So if you have used torrent, let me show you an example. Again, this is example purpose. Don't think I use torrent. Torrent is illegal, but we are just doing it for knowledge purpose. Understand? Okay. No, it's not illegal. Don't worry. It's fine. Okay. Murli sir, don't worry. You can Johnson as also running. So let's say, for example, I want to download this a kind of movie called Top Gun. Now I'm downloading it. Can you see this peer? I'm actually downloading from so many people. They are in US, they are in Dubai, they are in some different countries, Turkey, multiple countries, these people are there. What is happening is, in India, I'm downloading also from that. I'm uploading also with them. Can you see this thing? Download speed, upload speed. So I am actually downloading and uploading a complete movie from hundreds of people, because the whole movie has been divided into small pieces, and each one of are acting as a peer. They are all equal to me. They are also downloading, they are also uploading. You're getting my point? This is the concept of peer-to-peer technology. Let me pause it up. The whole idea is to explain you how it happens. Is this part clear of what a peer-to-peer thing? Okay, Kottayam say there's a question, why is it called disruptive technology? Sir, before this peer-to-peer came into picture, you should understand one thing. It was, you have to put all this one file of 2.4 GB on a server, and everyone will download from that. Once more than 10 people are downloading, don't you think it becomes a big problem to speed and everything? But here, I just downloaded the whole movie. You can see, because it's on peer-to-peer, I will download it maybe in 20 minutes. Thing is done because I'm downloading and uploading it to so many people. So I'm not downloading one person, I'm downloading from hundreds of people. That's exactly the thing which is happening in blockchain also. It's a peer-to-peer technology. Multiple people are uploading and downloading at the same time. So you can say solid 22%. So it will happen. It will affect my connectivity. So which means this part, it's replicated across a number of systems in a near real-time peer-to-peer environment. I hope you understood my point, guys, why we are talking about that. On peer-to-peer, is this technology concept clear? Let's go to the other one step by step, but this is clear, right? What is a peer-to-peer? Or is still there is some doubt? No? I'll come to the disruptive technology part, which, Sabu sir has asked. I'll explain it up. But I hope peer-to-peer is clear. Great. Second is every participant own a same copy of the ledger and gets the updates when the transactions are. Imagine the same thing. I just showed you blockchain.com, which is nothing but the blockchain or ledger of all the transaction which is happening in Bitcoin. Can I have a copy of that? Very much. They are saying, please welcome. Can I see what is the transaction getting updated? Yes. How it is used, we'll come to that later. But let's try to understand the fundamentals first. Okay. So that is exactly what's happening when we are talking about blockchain. Okay. So we have financial and non-financial data. We have a peer-to-peer network. We have a copy of ledgers with everyone, and immutability of existing report. Immutability is no one should be tampered with any of the existing report which is there. We'll discuss that. And the next part, which is very interesting, is the concept of cryptography. Okay. So this one, I will take 2 minutes to explain it to you in the right context. Okay. So the context is like this. I have a question for all of you friends. As chartered accountant, all of us have used what we call it as a digital signature. Am I right? Okay. Now, second question I have for you is, how many of you know this concept of cryptography? Anyone has heard this term cryptography, guys? Do you know this term cryptography means? Yes or no? No? Yes, maybe? Let me show you an example of this one to prove my point of view, and then it can be easy. So let's try to understand it. So cryptography is a concept, we call it as the art of hiding some information. Okay. All of you have attended my session, right? What is the best evidence of that? Now that is the question we need to ask, right? Guys, can you just survive for 5-10 more minutes? I know I have to give a break for 5 minutes. Just let me cover the cryptography and then I can give you a break. Is it fine, sir? Sir, is it okay? Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
So let me just give you an example of cryptography. There are 2 types of cryptography. We call it as, one is called symmetric crypto system and the other one is called asymmetric crypto system. In symmetric crypto system is you can convert a data into ciphertext and convert it back. But in asymmetric crypto system, which we use in digital signature, you can't do that. What happens here? Let's say I said, hi, we need to bomb a building. Let's not do this. I'm example only. On Monday. Next Monday, we have to bomb a building. So I'm a bad guy. I'm passing this message. But if this message comes to you, and anyone can read it on the web. So I'll do one thing. I'll hide this message. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. Remember the key. It's very important. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. I'll save this file. And I save this file on my desktop saying plan or sleep. Okay. So let's say I save this file. Not on this one. Save it on my picture. It's easier for me to remember. Okay. So this is my plan for weekend. Okay. Great. I'll close this. Now, let me do one thing. I will open another thing. Here is this picture. You can see this. In this picture roll, do you see this plan for weekend? I'll open it up. When I open it up, this file will open something like this. Do you understand anything what I've written out here, guys? It's called symmetric cryptography. Here, it is converted into ciphertext, which no one can understand. But if I use the same software, I have actually done it. I'll bring it up the same software here. You can see this. I'll say file open. What was the key, guys? If you remember, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. This was the key. And this is the file. I open it again. Did you see I've seen the same information out here? This is called symmetric cryptography, which means I can convert and reconvert the data into the same format. Okay, this is a technical thing. But this is of no use. We are more interested in a concept called hash value. If you remember, whenever you use digital signature and sign a document, have you seen that question mark concept? Now that concept is called as hash value. And hash value is a very interesting concept. It is like, imagine all of you have attended my session. What is the best option for that? Now you may say attendance. Attendance can be tampered with. What if I get all of you together and I take a photograph of yours with a digitally signed or with a timestamp camera, which cannot be tampered? Now, this will be the best thing which can happen. So there are something we call it as hash generator. Okay. Hash generators are, imagine like a fixed number, which it will be bringing it up for someone to understand. This is what happens in digital signatures. If you have a digital signature, it would have a, like I'll give a data, hi, how are you? Okay. I'll calculate the hash total. Hash total is nothing but an algorithm. You can see a plus b whole square is something which called a square plus b square plus 2ab, right? So this is SHA-256 is a hash which will generate this number. So it has generated a hash, hi, how are you? 9D. So I'll just copy this one and put it in a notebook. Let me just open a notepad. So I copied it up here. So you can see this is the message was, hi, how are you? This is the thing. If I put a full stop, so like you see, I put a full stop and I generate the hash value again. This hash value is 0. So you can see the hash value for just putting a full stop, that information has changed. So hash is a kind of a cryptographic function, which basically makes sure that the data which I'm actually storing is safe and no one has tampered with it. So what happens, friends, is it uses hash value. This cryptography, which blockchains are using, is on that. And it has a mechanism to make it very hard for someone to change the historical record anywhere. So historical record can be in the form of, let's say, I've just closed down this one, guys. The historical record can be in the form of, let's say, a building. So I have block number 1, block number 2, block number 3, block number 4, block number 5. I have all things. This is block number 74. I can't change this. If I change it, all my blocks will fall down. So historical blocks cannot be changed very easily. That is the kind of work is done by a blockchain. Now, I told you, I promised you that I'll show you a demo of this one. So there is one site which has created, it's called Anders, blockchain demo. So this is like, just for an explanation purpose, they have created a demo, and I'll just show you so that you can understand it better. And we have a clear understanding of how I will just share the link also on the chat, so you can actually see this and understand what we are trying to deal with. This is the link I have there. So a blockchain is, it will have something like block 1, block 2, block 3. It's a kind of a database. Okay. Now, did you see this is the block number 1? This is called as Genesis block. Okay. Now, Genesis block, did you see this concept of hash? It is something like I put some data here. This data is like entry ready for posting, not posted. In core banking system and if you are seeing that, what we call it as friends, our SAP and all the things, you will have, entry ready for posting and posted. So imagine this is some entries there. You're thinking whenever I'm changing anything, the hash value is changing. But once I post this entry, what is happening? The previous hash is 0, but this hash has come here. And do you see one very interesting thing, guys, here? I don't know if you have noticed it. This hash has come here, right? This is the carry forward. This is the brought forward. It is something like why we are calling it a ledger is because of that only. You need to understand it. Okay. So what is carry forward from here has become brought forward. Okay. And if I try to add more data here, just see that. And mine it, same thing is happening here also. So what's happening is this is the previous hash, this is the next hash. For everything, there is a hash which is there. And only hash will change is not the brought forward hash. Only the carry forward hash will change. And I can keep on doing it number after number. Keep on putting any data I want to put it up. Now, what will happen is, as the fourth item you have seen it, the moment let's say I try to tamper, these are all in green color. Let's say I try to tamper with, this one. Did you see that after this one, all the block has got tampered? It is like an audit trail saying that, boss, this is not safe. Now, that is exactly what is happening in a blockchain. And this hash value, I think it should remind you of what I showed you in the beginning of my session. You remember a ledger I showed you? In the ledger, what we had, same thing. Imagine a hash value here. Imagine a hash value here. So that, if you have a client who's badmash and who wants to change some data, he will not be able to change it up because the moment he change it, your hash value will change. I hope I have tried to make it very simple for you to understand. I know it's a little technical, guys, but the idea is that as chartered accountant, we are always very smart people, and we do understand what is being mentioned out here. And that is exactly what they want us to understand in terms of the value and how we are dealing with it. So coming back, before we go on a 5 minutes break, I want to tell you that it is a blockchain is a distributed ledger. We show that example. And why it is called distributed, I can just show you once again in this one also. If you want to have distributed, it means the same blockchain, it will be peer A would have one copy of that. Peer B will be having, peer C will be there. Whatever you do, it will get replicated all across. So that is the whole idea of having a distributed blockchain. Okay. It has replicated across the part. Okay. I hope, Mundi sir, you liked it. Yeah, thanks sir, for that one. You understood that. And it is replicated across multiple systems. Everyone owns a copy of the thing. You saw this example. Peer A also has access to this one. Peer B has also access to that. So everyone have that. And they all can make sure that immutability is taken care of properly. And using cryptography. And whenever you use the word cryptography, remember the term we are using is asymmetric crypto system. We are not using symmetric crypto system, friends. We are using asymmetric crypto system here in terms of using it. Okay, so that is what we need to understand we are trying to do. I hope it is clear, guys. Anyone has any questions, please feel free to let me know. You can raise your hand also if I'll try to see if I can unmute you. I think I have some access out there. But the main idea is we should understand this technical part out there. And I will try to explain you the use cases of some of them once we are back. But any questions so far, feel free to put it in the Q&A. In Q&A, we have one question. How does blockchain works? Whether any partisan get a copy of every partisan get access to a common record to cloud. Okay, so Angelo, sir, I think it is clear now. You saw that. See, the cloud part is a little different, sir, because it may depend on multiple things. Even today, you can have it on servers also. Cloud is when we are using anything which is through the internet. Yes, they will be using through the internet. So the common record is not there. It is like copy of the record is there multiple places. So Angelos, sir, I think you are clear on that. Okay. Hey, any other questions, guys? No? All clear? Cool then. Okay, then you actually have earned yourself a well-deserved 5 minutes break. So you just take a 5 minutes break. Once we come back, we'll go to the next level of the thing where use cases and asking your questions. Okay. Good.
Chairman Kottayam, any update?
Anand sir, can we start?
Welcome back, guys. As we were discussing before we went into the break, there are a lot of interesting things happening, and there are some questions which has also come. So I'm just trying to answer. So Murali Krishnan sir has asked a very interesting question. How did I convert the text file while doing? So there was a software. There are hundreds of software. I use a symmetric crypto system software called Scrambler. So Scrambler is one of the software which you can actually do that, and it gives you a kind of understanding on terms of, to show that both the things would work best. Okay, so till now, I think there's something. So the only thing which we need to understand is on the point of the oversimplified version which I talked about. So net, you need to understand in a blockchain, any technology, there are 5 things are there. And you remember the hash value thing. I don't know how many of you are practicing in the GST era, but in the e-invoices which are coming now, have you seen a hash value is published nowadays by GST department? And to be very honest with you, I think GST is a very interesting case study on what we call it as, where we should be actually using what we call it as blockchain technology. And I'll also tell you why it is not being done right now. That is a different thing. I'll explain to you. But they have tried to start using the hash value, cryptography, this hash function which is there. Second important thing is it has a peer-to-peer network. We discussed that also. Third, it has to have a consensus mechanism. Now, in the old system of blockchain, first blockchain you can think of, they use a concept called proof of work. Now, proof of work is a concept which is used to make sure that everyone who's participating has to ensure there is some work which is done by them, and based on that, they are rewarded by a Bitcoin. So that is one of the consensus mechanism. But there are multiple ways. Proof of stake. There are, because nowadays you don't have to have, we call it as a public block. There are private blockchains also which are coming into picture, and in that case, we can. Then it has to be a ledger, and the most interesting thing is validity. We call it this validity rule as nothing but a smart contract. A smart contract is a kind of condition that if this happened, you need to do this. Okay. So here in the smart contract concept, many a time we would see this information happening exactly in a way that some rule set can be set up, which can be used by anyone else. So that is exactly what happens in blockchain. So 5 key components. This is what it actually tries to give you. As I told you, trust of safety, trust of issuance, and trust of correctness. If anyone tampers with that, it will take care of that. And it's actually kind of a mix of 3 things. There is a technology, there is maths, and there are some coding. All these 3 things makes this happen. Now, this is at a 30,000 feet how the blockchain works. Now, the question is, how is it impacting us? What are the use cases which are happening, guys? This becomes very important. So before I talk about the use case, there is one very fundamental problem in double entry system of bookkeeping, which we all are aware of. That fundamental problem in double entry system of bookkeeping is called as reconciliation. Because what happens is, we all know this, when you are doing a double entry system of bookkeeping, there is no single source of truth, right? If it is something like what we call it as, of this in terms of what we call it, I pass an entry. In real life, what will happen? I will basically be passing in the books of X, this is the entry. In the books of Y, this is the entry. That would be something which we will be doing. Okay. So in systems, but actually there are 2 people who are passing the sentence, right? And there will be some different way they can pass it up. And in this situation, what happens is it becomes sometimes a big problem. And this reconciliation problem can be solved by using a concept which all of us know. We call this as triple entry system of bookkeeping. Have you heard this thing? Triple entry system of bookkeeping is, imagine a situation. Imagine, I'm again telling you, you have to imagine a situation where I pass an entry in my books of account, you pass an entry in your books account, and both of us pass the third blockchain, which is a single book or single source of truth. This is what we call a triple entry system. So the accounting and blockchain era, friends, is going to undergo a lot of change. It's going to move from transactional assurance, which we used to do, and transfer of property rights, which happens. This is an accounting that's going to change it up. When I say transfer of property rights, it can be in shares. We have now a new concept which is called as DeFi, decentralized finance, that you require. Why should I have CDs here? Okay, or National Stock Depository Limited? can I have a kind of way which everything is decentralized? Not one person is controlling all of the things which is happening, right? So that is something which we need to understand. So one of the things which is going to happen is decline in reconciliation, because triple entry system bookkeeping is coming. Reduction in audit cost and time. So this is one of the questions which Murli sir has asked. This is a very interesting thing, and this is actually going to happen, where audit cost and time is not going to be there out there, and you would have distributed ledgers or joint register which would maintain the property rights and everything is going to happen. So we see a future where you will have a very interesting point of view from the perspective of how we see the accounting in the blockchain era is going to happen. Okay, here I want to take a pause and also show you one way. It's a little different slide, and I want just try to explain it to you. A situation which is very interesting because of two reasons and two reasons on. You see, this is what we call it a triple X system. So this is participant A, whose records are there. Participant B, his records are there. All their bank records are in one on the blockchain. The auditors is also seeing it. Regulators is also seeing it. Insurance companies are also seeing it. Everyone has access to the blockchain. So you don't have an inefficient system where, today I have to go to the bank and say, oh, give me this information. The regulator will ask this guy out there. Instead of having a mix of that, can I have everything on a blockchain where the participant A, the B, bank, all three information can come onto that thing? So this is how people are reimagining it up. It will take time. I agree with you that it is not going to be so early that, oh, everything will change overnight. But that is like the end state which people are viewing how blockchain is going to come and change it up there. And that is what is going to be interesting to see in terms of the use cases, what we are, right now emphasizing out there and taking it forward. Also, friends, one more thing which is going to be interesting is auditing in the blockchain. So this is a question which every time I get asked that, okay, what is going to happen to that thing? Now, in the, you saw the problem statement. I'm putting all this information set onto a single source of truth, which I can be 100% sure that it can't be tampered with. No one has, done and kind of mess up with that. Now, in that kind of situation, I can have a near real-time access to data. I would have a consistent and recurring format, which means I don't have to have multiple formats for multiple clients. The audit preparation will go very fast. And I will be having a very less lag between transaction and its verification. Lag means today, the transaction happened today, we will be actually auditing it after end of the year or something. Now you can actually have it on real-time basis. And there is an auto alert about unusual transaction. Any kind of unusual transaction, you can have an auto alert, which is anomaly detection. And you can have continuous industry audit. For the whole of the industry, you can actually use access to the blockchain and get it up. And we can have a judgmental, elements can be eliminated, and estimates and other things can be more robust in the way we look at it. So this is the the thought process which a lot of organizations are now looking at in terms of how we would see blockchain happening. And the future roles of auditors, especially we will see that they will be spending more time in auditing the smart contracts, whether the smart contracts is configured correctly or not, because that would be the role we would see them playing it out. And 50% of the time, they will be playing the role of service auditors of consortium blockchain. When I say consortium blockchain, see, in blockchain, you would have multiple participants who come together. Now, when this multiple participants come together, we need to have a clear understanding in terms of how this participant are going to work. So there should be a kind of an independent party, SA 402, where service auditors or service organization review, or I'm sure you've heard about something called SOC 2 and other things. So those kind of consortium requirements, where a kind of a blockchain is developed by multiple people and multiple participants are there, they will require someone to come and review the blockchain and says, okay, there is a single source of truth and we authorize this. There would be also something on administration of access, how it's been done, and in arbitration. And what we will see in time to come is adoption will be in a phased time manner. There was a little bit of stop in terms of maturity, but the early stage has already happened. And that is something which is coming up from our discussion of what we see, the way we are looking at all this kind of thing. But friends, what you're going to see is a critical mass in next 2 to 3 years. And by 2025, you would see what we call it as the maturity of this by global adoptions, and we are already seeing it up. I was not expecting this interbank reconciliation to go so fast, but that actually what has happened. And that is something which is actually going on as we see that. Now, the question then comes is a very important question is, when should the blockchain be used? Now, this is a question which many of the people are asking. So blockchain can be used for all kind of problems, or should there be that? So there was a very interesting, question which came to a lot of people, that what is the best time to adopt, or where is the best place to adopt blockchain? So this is kind of thing. You can't have blockchain for all kind of problems. So should you use a blockchain solution? If you have to ask this question, we have to have a real business problem where there's a cost is significantly lower than the benefit of using it, right? So if the cost is too high of that solution, no one is going to use it. So it should be ROI has to be looked into and how we can deal with that. So in general, it will only make sense when multiple mutually mistrusting entities want to interact. See this word, it's very important. Multiple entities, they are mutually mistrusting each other. And in interbank reconciliation, that is what we are trying to do that, right? So these are, if one or two are there, it is not going to be there. It should be multiple things. And they want to interact and change the state of the system. And they are not willing to agree on the online trusted third party. So they don't want a centralized body. So they want to have everyone come together and work on this. Now that leads to us asking this 11th question. If you have to actually see that where I should be applying this blockchain, or whether a blockchain is a good solution or not, ask yourself this question. Okay. First question, which is very important, is putting a blockchain is not a technological question. It is a business decision. Now, a lot of people ask me, what is there in for chart technology? Tell me one thing, who understands business better than us? I don't think anyone understands business better than us. We are the top of the guys. We call ourselves as the trusted advisors and other things. So if we are the people, we should be advising clients where they are trying to remove any intermediaries. So it should be a decision which should be more of, I would say, a kind of business decisions, not a, I would say, a decision which is based on technology. Second is, are we working with digital asset and digital ownership of it? Digital assets is something like, you are hearing this term called NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Or you can have a digital ownership of asset, which means it can be a share in a, you can think of a company, an asset, a property, anything. It's a kind of a certificate of ownership of that one. I can actually have it. Third, can you create a permanent authoritative record of this asset in question? Means it should be a kind of authoritative record of the asset in question. Now, when we say about the use cases, there are very interesting use cases of this. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. In Ghana, there is a blockchain uses for land records. This is called Ben, and you can go to the site and see that. So Ben is a very interesting concept. When we say Ben, friends, it basically does this one. It gives a modern land records and all that. So the question which is there is, today we all know how much problematic it is to have encumbrance certificate for any kind of asset in question, a permanent authority record. You don't know this land belongs to whom. So in Ghana, they try to do this. They put it on a blockchain, all the record deeds and everything. So now there is a single source of truth. Anyone wants to go and check it up. It is no way of anyone tampering with that. It's a smart land record, and real-time transaction system which maintains everything on a blockchain. and it cannot be tampered with. And the participants are also there. There are people who have got view access. There are people who got administrative access. All these things has to be dealt with. So this is the kind of questions we need to actually look at. Look, are we trying to create a permanent authoritative record of the asset in question? So do we require to have a, a clear understanding? Fourth question is, now this is the most important thing. This question is, do you require a high performance rapid transaction? Like in stock market, you require a very high speed rapid transaction. Now, if you want to do that, maybe it is not the right app, because as of now, the technology is still evolving. See, phone is a technology, but did you remember the initial phones and today's phones have actually undergone a lot of changes? Now, same thing is happening. Blockchain is also evolving. We are seeing a lot of changes happening in this technology. So you'll see this happening in a different manner altogether. Now, question number 5, do you intend to store a large amount of non-transactional data? Non-transactional data is like attached thing and all things. Now, blockchain is a ledger. In ledger, do you keep a voucher? No, we only keep the entry into the ledger. So same way, you don't want to put a lot of attachment and all that kind of thing. If you're trying to do that, then blockchain is maybe not the right solution. Then question number 6, we want to rely on a trusted party, for compliance, liability reason, or anything as such. Now, that is another question we have to ask ourselves, that what is the kind of things we are trying to do? Next question would be, are we managing a contractual relationship or value exchange? Value exchange is something in return, where you give something and take out. And next question would be, do you require to share any kind of right access? Because right access means you are trying to give someone access to change anything on the blockchain. Now you have to be very careful about that. Okay. Now, do the contributors who are going to be in a blockchain, they know and trust each other? Now, sometimes it can be totally a decentralized thing. No one knows about that. Sometimes it can be a trust factor which has to be brought up there. So we need to see that one also. Now, last 2 questions, do we need to have a control functionality that someone has to have access and managing out of that? And last but not least, should the transaction be public? Now, if these 11 questions are asked and answered, we have developed a kind of a small flow chart to give you the thing. If the question number 1, you have yes, and question number 2 is also yes, and question number 3 is yes. Now, if you go for yes on all of the things till question number 4, then you should be going on a blockchain. But otherwise, if question number 1, which was, if you recall, I'll just take you through that. Question number 1 was, are you trying to remove virtual material? The answer is yes, you should have blockchain. If you're not trying to remove it up, you don't require a blockchain. So that is the kind of way we have built up. If the question number 2 also, the answer is no, you don't require it. Question number 3, answer is no, you don't require it. Question number 4 was a very interesting question. If you remember, I'll just take you once again to that. Yes, sir, I'll come to that question. Question number 4 was, do you require high performance rapid transaction? Now, if you want it, then friends, what is going to happen is, you remember that I told you that time also, if yes, then it is not efficient. There are other affiliations. So this is how a complete flow chart of what we can use, what we cannot use, can be actually developed and taken. So this is what I'll be sharing with you also. So the idea is, you need to understand that this is how a blockchain works. And the amount of blockchain today we have is kind of what we call as public blockchain. Like the one you saw it for, Bitcoin. It's a public blockchain. Anyone can. But there are also private blockchain. Like I told you, the 21 banks which has gone on the Finacle blockchain, you and me don't get access to that transaction. We don't know what is the interbank reconciliation which are happening out there. So that is a private blockchain. Or there can be a third one, which is hybrid, which is very interesting. That some information is available to public, like the one we talked about right now, BenBen. In BenBen, all the data is public, but you can view access is given. Write access is kept very few. So it's a hybrid of that. So like that, we have multiple versions which are doing. So this question by Murli sir, which is very interesting. In a final shape of blockchain, when government is also party to the business entities accounting world, there will be requirement of auditor. Yes, sir. there would be a requirement for audit, but not for the transactional audit further. And that is something which we need to see and understand. So audit would be required, but I just showed you that other slide, if you remember, that the type of audit is going to change. It's not going to be the same kind of thing we are talking. So that is something which we need to understand and appreciate out there. Okay. Now, how do you make sure that there is good adoption of that? Okay, there's one more question from Sabu. So which type of client can be benefited from blockchain? On whom to advise to move on the blockchain? A very good question, Sabu sir. So this 11 question which I have sent it, I'll share it with you. If the question answers are yes for most of the thing, then your client has this problem. It can be part of intermediaries. Today, you have to understand a lot of clients, even recently, one of the Bajaj Electric, they actually tried to do one very interesting thing. They wanted to deal with all their supplier of steel. They wanted to put all the procurement of supply of steel on blockchain because that was the kind of a mass thing which were there happening. And they wanted to have a clear understanding of how it is happening. So they make sure that they pass one entry in their SAP. They pass an entry, the vendor will pass an entry in their books, and then the third entry will be passed in the blockchain. So that there is a smart contract. Immediately after 90 days, automatically the money will come. So if your clients has a challenge of intermediary, if they have a challenge where they want to keep a single source of truth and multiple participants are there, and there are a lot of mistrust between this thing, then it would be a good example of where we can use a blockchain. And that can be something we use. Okay, so Roy Thomas sir is there any uniform standards of blockchain either on national or international level? Okay, that's a very good point. So Thomas sir, you can go to DTIO. Our institute .gov. NITI Aayog has given a basic standards which is for adoption of blockchain in governance. And there are also some basic standard which has been set up in financial services around that, but they are not mandatory. They are on technical side only. The standards are being done. It is not something which is still being enforced as such. These are like recommended. So yeah, it will take some time before we get a kind of standards which are coming. Okay. Ravinath Pai sir is it necessary? Okay. Yes, Ravinath. If you are starting any crypto assets or tokens or anything, they have to be on that thing. That's the whole idea. Otherwise, how would we be sure about double spending? If you're issuing a cryptocurrency, is it possible that someone can actually tamper with that? So I don't trust your cryptocurrency. You can create one Ravinath coins. I will not agree to Ravinath coin unless it is on a blockchain, decentralized, and I can be sure about that. Okay. So that is one of the kind of interesting thing. Okay. Now our contracts covered on the blockchain called smart contract. How much smart? So smart contracts are happening, sir. But I would say the name is smart. It's actually not smart actually. Actually, what happens is they will have something we call it as it's a if this, then do this. This is the kind of condition in programming. If this condition is met, you do this. That is what we call it as the smart contract. Smart contracts are used in LC right now. They are being used by banks in trade finance and all things. Yes, it is being used. HSBC is #1 bank in the world which use that for that. And future contracts and other things are also being put onto them. Okay. Great. Good questions, guys. Really interactive. I really enjoying it discussing with you. I know we have another 5 minutes more. I will just complete it quickly and then I'll take some more questions also. I really enjoyed interacting this one. So how do you make sure that there is a proper adoption of blockchain? So if you're trying to, so this is a question to, I think, which Sabu sir asked, how can we do that? So if you're trying to see a business problem which is there, which you want to solve it based on the 11 question which I have shared with you, start small and through the technology effect. See, the technology part is the easiest part. The business part is the toughest part in blockchain. Putting anything on a blockchain, you have to not worry about the technology. You can get, the developers dime a dozen to do that development for you. But the whole idea should be how it will work. That becomes important. I hope you got my point. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 is then you make a bigger part pilot, which means you have to develop an ecosystem where more and more people, participant comes into picture, and they should fit into the ecosystem out there. Third, you have to have network adoption, which means more and more participants come. And only fourth, you get the future vision of how it is being taken care of. So this is how we drive the whole development of this. Also, friends, there are a lot of use cases which are being done here. People are using it in border control. It means immigration they are using. They are using it for things like, you can say Upwork is using it for issuing UIDA, like unique identification. They are using it in land registry. I told you about Ben. They are using it in advertisement. What is the kind of response to that advertisement? Maersk is number one, which is using this use cases in shipping business. Anyone who has dealt with shipping business here, export and import, the number of forms you have to file it up out there. I hope all of you know that. Even the forms doesn't have names. Some of the forms will have what we call it as the blue form, the yellow form, and all that kind of. Now they are talking about putting everything like a ship manifesto could be on the blockchain, so that when the ship enters, how much more loading has happened, how much loading has removed, all these things, you don't have to file manifesto again and again, all this information at multiple port and all things. You can have this a single source of truth. They are already doing it. In China, they are doing it on tax records of everything, electronic invoices and everything. They are putting it up on the blockchain. We have railways which are putting, inventory of all the data on blockchain. In fact, there was one very interesting use case where all the car records in Europe was being put on the blockchain so that you have a single source of truth. If you're buying a second-hand car or anything, you will get it. So there's a lot of use cases which are there. If you want some more use cases, I would go to this site. It's called State of the Dapps, which is there. They have more than 3,000 plus dapps. Go to the site. It's more than 3,744 different types of decentralized application which are being used out here. So this is what we should be all aware of. And you can see there's a new concept which is DeFi, and this is actually right now the hot topic in the blockchain world, decentralized finance, and they are talking about different areas where they can have it out there. So I would say explore it up. This is something which is very interesting and do it up. So just to summarize, friends, blockchain is a disruptive technology. So this was a question which was asked to me many times. Oh, how is disruptive? It is disruptive because it's changing the way we look at things. And guys, you need to understand one. Have you noticed that in last 4 or 5 years, as Aniket was also telling, how this is becoming a very important force in our everyday. We can't live without what this happen as the standard, what we think as like a default way of communicating, default way of living and all. And the change happened very fast. You need to understand, when telephone first was launched, the concept of telephone to reach 100 million users, it took it 75 years. World Wide Web to reach 100 million users, it took close to 8 years. And most interestingly, Facebook took around 2 years to 2.5 years for reaching 100 million users. But there was a game which came, and it was called, if you have heard about Pokemon Go, it reaches 100 million in 1 month. The adoption was very fast. Now, technology, it's there since 2014, but slowly what has happened is there has been a lot of advancement which has happened in this. I personally know a lot of CAs who are working in this domain, and they are seeing that the early mover advantages is always a great thing. So they are trying to ensure it up that as much as possible, we have a good understanding in terms of what's happening, how it is happening. And finally, they are seeing the adoption happening in different parts. So we need to be ready for that, whatever the people are understanding on use cases and all things, it's going to come and hit us, whether we like it or not. So either we should be prepared for that, because there is a very interesting saying. I saw this I went to this Indian Institute of Petroleum Management in Gurgaon. It is owned by Indian Oil Corporation. I had a session out there. And at the back of the reception, there was an interesting big mural was there. And on the mural, they have mentioned one statement: change before you are forced to change. Which means you should always be proactive in changing things. You could see how it is going to come and affect us. As chartered accountant, triple entry system, yes, it's coming. It is going to change the way we do audit. Plus, it is also going to be impacting enterprises and organization and different ones. Now we need to see the use cases, understand better, and then take that forward. So that is what I wanted to explain to you. And thank you very much for this patience hearing. I know it's a very long sessions, and on a Wednesday afternoon, you guys are there. Really appreciate. I think we have a good number of more than 200 people, so it was great to interact with all of you. Thank you very much, and back over to you.
Thank you, Anand sir, for the wonderful presentation on blockchain technology. So we all believe that it is not about cup of tea, because 99% of the people think that technology is not our cup of tea. But in my CFO days, I found that when this securitization come, the auditors come from the Kerala auditors or the outside auditors. None of the auditors were able to find out a suitable solution for the securitization transaction. Even from the service tax authorities that used to call us for finding a solution for the securitization. Then people from chartered accounts from Mumbai came and found a suitable solution for the securitization transaction that day. So this is what happening in the banking or anywhere the technology is taking over the all the transaction. From it is to the net banking, now it is to the card transaction. Now everything is gone to the Google Pay or Phone Pay. We all thought that we will never use the Phone Pay or Google Pay, but today we are using all time the Google Pay or the Phone Pay transaction. So this is the era of the technology. So thank you so much, Anand, Jangid sir, for the wonderful presentation. This is an eye opener for the members of Kerala. So we will also find out how the opportunities will be able to bring more consultancy or business to the chartered accounts. So to give the formal vote of thanks, prior to that, we will hand over a moment or two that is virtually giving to you now. Then we will courier it to you.
Thank you, sir.
So before the formal vote of thanks, I thank Thrissur branch team for the entire technology support for the 9 days of this NAVARATNA conference led by Ajit Kayamalan team. And Palakkad branch has done all the registration from initial days onwards. They have done all the process documentation, the dealing with the HO and SIRC for the all the initial time. So thank you, Anuja ma'am, for the whole support. Then Kottayam branch team had done all this design work. So we are thanking our own staff members and committee members of Kottayam and Satishan sir for the entire support, and all the branch committee and all the chairman, chairperson for their wonderful support, and all the members for their live during this 9 days. Now I hand over it to CA Balaji for the formal and official vote of thanks for this NAVARATNA last day conference. Balaji, please. Balaji is in Dubai. I think the connectivity may be an issue. So I request Prem Sebastian Anthony for the vote of thanks. Prem sir, please.
Good evening, everyone. It was a very informative and eye-opening session. We had last year, I think we had a session. We had one-day session by Anand Jangid sir in Kottayam branch, and there was 2 parts of the session. One was in the morning for the members, and in the afternoon we took a session for the students as well. It was a very informative session also. I mean, continuing with that, we today on blockchain technology, and also he has gone, he has taken the classes in a layman's language, and it was very informative. Thank you so much, sir. And on behalf of all the branches here, and on my personal behalf, a lot of thank. We are grateful to you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And for the NAVARATNA session was a feast, as Sabu sir was mentioning some time back. It was a feast for all the participants who have participated in the 9 days. And I would personally thank all the chairmen, all the 9 chairmen, for arranging this feast to our members. Thank you so much, all the chairmen, and our SIRC officials, our Sufficients, everyone deserves a lot of thanks. Thank you, everyone, so much. And one more word to our participants, all our dear participants, for making this event a grand success. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Sabu sir. Sabu sir, you're moved.
Thank you, Prime Sebastian sir, for the kind words for this vote of thanks. Now we will have the national anthem.
मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. Wish you all a very happy Diwali to you and your family members. Thank you from Kottayam branch team.
Sabu sir, we all enjoyed these 9 days. In
Yeah.
spite of a busy season, we all enjoyed. Very well done. Thank you all, co-chairman. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Santosh sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank